Welcome to Homeschool with BookShark. My name is Jana Cook, and I'm the community manager. If you're watching today live, please use the chat box on the side of your screen with any questions you'd like answered by our team. If you're watching this as a replay, please email any questions you have to main, M-A-I-N, at bookshark.com. Today, I've assembled a panel of BookShark's team to show the type of support that you will get when you use our curriculum. I have with us Lynn Woodley, our product expert, Maddie Suter, customer service lead, and Vern Osborne, our virtual development specialist. Welcome, you guys, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. It's going to be fun to be here.
Thanks.
Lynn, we're going to start with you. Why don't you just give us a quick overview of what a product specialist does at BookShark?
There's so many different hats with a product specialist, but I actually help a lot of families along the way, schools that help the homeschool families along the way, and set up conventions and do all that requires to get that information out to you as homeschool families.
So with 30 seconds or less, give us a snapshot of what BookShark is.
BookShark is a 4-day schedule, literature-based curriculum, and it just puts everything together. The language arts intertwines with the history. The science is an NGSS aligned science that gives you a great experiment once a week, and you go through and you learn all types of wonderful material. And then we add in the math. So if you get the whole component, our all subject package, you have everything that you will need for a full year for one or more children to use together.
All right, Lynn, say I am a family who's been looking at BookShark and kind of toying with the idea of go ahead and purchasing an all subject package to start my homeschool journey. So are there instructions on how to use the curriculum once I get it?
Yes, we have awesome instruction guides, instructors guides that actually guide you through each and every day with notes and answers and guidance throughout. So you don't have to plan anything. So that guide is there, but it can be a little overwhelming as it's in that binder. And so it can be a lot of material. So there's guidance. I have a workshop that I've done for years, about 20 years now, to help families to move through all that might seem overwhelming at first. And now we've placed that on Facebook, which is a boot camp. We call it a boot camp, and then you move on to the alum group. But I do sessions for 8 weeks in a row, starting in July, teaching you how to put that together, giving you some tips and tricks to make that all happen and have it be smooth to work through the year. But really, it's kind of what they call plug and play, where you can just sit down and open up your book once you organize it, and it's all there. But there are ways to make it a quick and easy and fun way to teach your children. But it is a 4-day schedule, which is really nice because that gives you the opportunity to have a co-op or electives to go do, or PE, or a field trip. So there's a lot of different flexibilities that you can add into that. So I would recommend that you do join the Facebook group and learn and understand what different ways that you can handle different things.
I will also add that we do webinars for homeschool families that are there to support you, not only with just our curriculum, but also with social and emotional support as well. So you can find those on our website at bookshark.com/convention schedule. And we are considering those in place of our in-person conventions, since those have been put to the wayside for a bit, but that is changing this coming year. So we're excited about that. All right, Lynn, so I have decided to use the curriculum. I'm excited that it's 4 days a week. I'm gonna have a lot of flexibility. How do I know that I am doing enough as I'm working through your program with my child?
That's a very good question. And a lot of parents actually wonder that. Our company has been in the homeschool curriculum industry for over 30 years. And the philosophy and methodology of what we use here at BookShark is tried and true. And it really is a very full, robust curriculum. You do not need to add. And if you do, you can overwhelm yourself and your children. So if you follow the reading with history, the language arts, the science, choose your math, add the different workbooks that you might want to add for language arts, you will have more than enough to teach your children. And once you start into that and you start learning, you'll understand how deep your educational level will be for your children, because even you will learn, even if you have an advanced college degree, you will learn even at the youngest age. So if you can learn, your children are going to learn. And over the years, I have seen thousands, literally thousands of those test scores from children who have used the curriculum. It is amazing how well they do at even a young age, because with our philosophy, so we can teach in a deep way the logical and the critical learning. And that is really what really expands your child's learning. So through our method, you do not need extra. And I would not recommend that you use extra, because you can be very overwhelmed. Your children will be socialized from the different activities that you do together as a family, or if you get together as a group on your electives day, that will help all of that. But the educational piece of it, they are going to be traveling around the world and understanding cultures, and they'll gain empathy. And all of this happens because of that methodology that we do use.
If a family would like to add an extracurricular, what does BookShark offer in way of electives?
That's a good question too. We have a wonderful piano curriculum that is fun to do at home. It's actually a lot less expensive than if you were to hire a teacher, and you don't have to go outside of your house. You can do it right there, and all the instructions are there. So you don't have to know how to play piano yourself, but it will teach you as well if you want to learn alongside with your children. But then we also have artistic pursuits that teaches art. And when I was homeschooling, I started a co-op and I taught the older kids art. And I love the idea of having art in your home. And I know that a lot of parents are afraid to teach it because they don't feel like they're artists, but we are all artists. So give yourself that grace and allow that to happen, because when children do art and they learn art and the art history that Artistic Pursuits puts in their program, you really do expand their abilities in math and also writing. So I highly recommend that you add an art and a music into your program. And that can be done on those 5th days, and is very important to add to your children's curriculum. So those are the kinds of things that I would recommend that you add. Again, not too many, because you have to be home to homeschool. So you want to make sure you set aside those 4 days and be home to homeschool, because you really do have to school. But give yourself that chance to be able to get out of the house maybe on the 5th day, or you do that work in home on the 5th day. Teach them home ec, how to wash clothes, how to clean house, how to do the dishes, perhaps even have them help you do bookkeeping. Get them set up on their own and set up a bookkeeping with different ways to manage their money. So those kinds of things are just fun for the family to do. But don't be afraid of it if it's not something that you feel you're good at.
Well, I am very grateful for artistic pursuits, because I have trouble even creating stick figures. And when my family plays Pictionary, I am the last one chosen. So
Yeah, it's interesting.
maybe I'm the only one. That's fine.
No, you're not, because when I was teaching art at our co-op, we had 104 kids, and those moms said, don't you ever be gone, because we don't want to teach the art. So it is a fear that parents have, but trust me, you don't need to be fearful of it. Artistic Pursuits gives you all the details that you need, and do the art with them. Art is just like math or reading. If you don't practice, you don't get better, and you need to start somewhere. So it doesn't matter if you start at Jana's stick figures. You just start and you move on and you move forward, and you will be surprised at how you will progress as well. And kids love it when their parents are doing it, learning with them. So they really will get into it as well.
Well, BookShark has just recently created a new component to their program, and it is called Virtual. Will you give us a quick synopsis of what that is?
Yes, it's a really awesome added feature. And for the homeschool that is independent of any kind of government funding, or even if you are in government funding and you are more independent, this is a great resource for you. And the reason why it is so great for you is it can help those kids that tend to trudge a little bit because it can give them accountability. It also can give them more independence because they know that they can go online and do their assessments. And also it gives them on those automatic graded questions, they get that immediate response of good or bad, answered right or wrong. So it's a wonderful way for them to get feedback quickly. And when it's a written piece, it takes the parent or a teacher to grade it, and then it will balance their grade. But it really is good for accountability for parent and child, and then just the independence. Kids like to be a little bit independent and run their own show a little bit, and this allows that.
Well, that takes us to Vern. Vern, you are our virtual development specialist. And as a parent who is not technologically savvy in any way, I would just like to propose a few questions to you that might put our viewers at ease if they're thinking about adding virtual into their program. So,
Sure.
first, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your department?
All right. So I'm the virtual development specialist. It's kind of a loose title, and I flip back and forth between a little bit of customer support in regard to the virtual interface and actually moving content and presenting it in a virtual way. So layout on the page, how we're going to handle assessments that are packaged in there. So that's pretty much what I do.
And for those who don't know, Vern is also a homeschool dad. And so it's a pleasure to have some diversity on our team as well. So, Vern, how tech savvy do I need to be in order to use virtual?
If you can use a computer at all, if you can check email, you can pretty much do virtual, no problem. So it's just a matter of getting accustomed to it, to the interface. Everything always looks different. But once you get used to it, once you've used it for a little while, it's not going to be an issue for you. And we do have great customer support. So if you do need some one-on-one, like a Zoom call, we can help you out with that if you're struggling with it. So I wouldn't be too intimidated. It's pretty simple.
See, I'm going to have you dumb it down. Can you explain interface for me?
It's just the way it looks. It's presented to the user. So the buttons, the layout, the navigation. So
see, it's amazing how even just that one word I find very intimidating. So maybe, again, maybe it's just me, but thank you. So my next question to you is, how much parent or teacher time does virtual take?
So one of the cool things about virtual is the fact that the students can take the assessments anytime they want. Well, if the parents are letting them take it anytime they want. So if the child is, a good reader and is able to be independent, like Lynn was talking about, and of course it comes with being an older student, they can go in, they can read the content for that day, they can do the readings for that day, and then they can move right into the assessments. So they can be assessed on what happened in chapters 1 through 2, and the questions are presented to them on the screen. Some of them are multiple choice, some of them are essay questions. So the student can be as independent as they're able to be, and the parent really doesn't need to be involved at all. Starting at a certain level, of course, younger kids are going to need some guidance going through the material, but there can be as little or as much as the parent and student want.
So I am a homeschool parent, started off with 3 and I'm down to 1, and we are using virtual this year. And I will say that I've confessed in all of our webinars that I wasn't good at grading or scoring anything in the assessments that my children have done. So my daughter's 12 and I'm completely hands off as far as her assessments. And let me tell you, even though it didn't change anything that I did or didn't do, a weight has been lifted because I don't have that in the back of my mind. One more thing that I didn't do. It has been done for me and it is wonderful. And then when we get to sit down and read, we still do read together. I can just enjoy the reading and not have to worry about the work that is required from me. So I hope that our parents who are listening to this or watching this get an idea of how this can enhance not only your child's homeschool experience, but your homeschool experience as well. So, all right, my final question: what kind of computer or technology is needed to use the virtual component of BookShark?
Doesn't need to be a supercomputer at all. If you can get online and check email, browse the web with it, you can do the virtual component.
All right. Well, that is encouraging, especially for those customers who do travel and use our curriculum outside of the home, to know that it doesn't take much to add this component into their homeschool program. So
I do have one other thing to add to it. And this is something that we encounter every once in a while through the customer support. But if you only have one computer, you might think, well, I might not be able to do this because my student's going to need a computer and I'm going to need a computer to do the grading and checking. But you can do it all from the same computer. And we have some tips and tricks, if that's the case for you, to make that a smoother experience for you and your students.
Vern, if there is someone who is watching who has a question, what would be the best way to get in touch with a virtual specialist to get those questions answered?
So we have our help desk. Maddie might be able to touch on that a little bit more. And we do. So we have our email, which we could link to, I guess, if we need to. So email or the customer support. And those questions, if they're virtual related, usually get funneled back to me or the virtual team, and we'll take care of it from there.
Wonderful. Well, that leads us to Maddie. Maddie, thank you for being here. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your department?
So I'm Maddie. I'm the customer service lead here at BookShark. So we handle all things customer support.
All right. So I have placed my order and I am just rearing and ready to go. What would you say the average is for wait time in order for me to get the books in the mail?
It's a great question. So it really varies dependent on the season, but right now we're shipping within 2 to 3 business days of receiving your order. And the time kind of depends on where you are in the world. But a good estimate is you usually have your order during this time of year within a week to a week and a half. You also get a tracking email as soon as your order ships. So you can keep an eye on any shipping delays or anything like that that might come up. During the summer, which is our busiest time of year, that time can extend just a little bit more. But you're always welcome to call or email. If you don't receive a tracking email and can't keep an eye on your package, always call or email our customer support, and we're happy to update you anytime.
And Maddie, what would be a good email for someone to email customer support?
Yes, so it's main@bookshark.com. And we also have our customer support line, which is 1-866-668-0179.
All right, so I have placed my order. I've tracked it. It's at my door. I've opened it all up. And for some reason that I can't even put into words, it's not what I wanted, or it's not going to work out, or my plans changed and I need to switch directions and I need to put my child into a brick and mortar. What is the return policy with BookShark?
So you can return any unused, undamaged items within 30 days of receiving your package, not the date you place your order. So the day that package arrives on your doorstep, that 30 days starts. You are responsible for shipping on the way back, but we also have a great returns page. So if you go to our website, there's a great video on how to pack your box and information on all of that. As long as the box is postmarked within 30 days of the day the package arrived to your house, and nothing's written in or used, you can go ahead and send it back.
I can't imagine why anyone would ever want to send back BookShark. But sometimes as a customer, it's just comforting knowing that once I've put this investment in, if there were to be a change of plans, that there is a return policy. So thank you for putting someone at ease with that. You just never know. All right, let's talk about customer support. So I've gotten my stuff. Maybe there's a book that is missing. Maybe there is something that was damaged on the way to me. What would a customer do in order to get those things corrected?
So either call or email us. Both of those options will get you a real live person who will help you with any damaged, missing, if you need to exchange something, within your package. You can either email us at that main@bookshark.com or call us. Our team answers phones from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Time, Monday through Thursday, and then 9 to 1 on Fridays. If you miss us, just leave us a voicemail or send us an email, and we'll get back to you as quickly as we can to help get whatever issue you have resolved.
Wonderful. That is very comforting as a customer to know that there's someone live that I can talk to and that issues can be resolved quickly. Lynn, part of your department is training advisors. Can you go ahead and just talk about what an advisor is? And then I'll let you take over the questions and I'll become the interviewee.
All right. I would like to say that we started out with BookShark convention reps. And these were moms that have used the program for at least 3 years, and we brought them on to help in conventions. But we also needed that within, within the customer services. The customer service are great with all the things that Maddie just spoke of, but perhaps they haven't used the program. They're not a mom that has homeschool kids. And so we really wanted to have the experience that they can talk to somebody who's actually used and been in the program. So I myself used the program, and then I brought in these teams, and these teams have been wonderful. And Jana then became one of the advisors because she was a BookShark convention rep, and still is. I still am going to use her, and she is now one of the advisors. So because she's actively homeschooling with BookShark and is using that. So I'm going to ask her a few questions now so that she can answer them the way that team handles those questions with you. Of course, each one of you are an individual and have individual questions that specifically we can answer those for you. So Jana, thank you for coming on this board and having all of us as well. But how do you know which level, how would I know which level of BookShark to use for my children?
So when we get a call from a parent with this question, we start with some basic information. What is the age of your child? BookShark is not put together in grade range. They're put together with age range. So we want to know the age of your child. And most importantly with that age is for age appropriate material. There are children who are above and beyond an age ability. But in our program, we want to make sure that the material stays appropriate for your child, because your child may be 8 and be able to read a book that is at a high school or even a college level, but the material in that book is not going to be appropriate. So first and foremost, we want to know the age of your child. That's where we start. And then we can start asking specific questions about maybe some of the other children in your home, because at BookShark, we really encourage collective learning. So if you have children within 2 to 3 age range, we want to put them together so that you are teaching history and science together, if appropriate, language arts, but if they are at different levels for that, we can see if that can be put on a different track, a different program, a different level. And then also with math, because ability with math can vary. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the younger child needs a lower level. Sometimes in families, the younger child needs a higher level than the older child. And that is purely just because every child is different. And so we want to customize our program to fit your family's needs as best as possible. So that's kind of where we start. And then we branch out. And as those questions are getting answered, then we continue to follow a path and find the correct level for you and your family.
Yes, I would like to add to that too, Jana, that we don't really recommend that you put your children at the lowest age range, because we are a very robust program and we want them to be able to do that. So it might work for 1 year, but the next year or the next, you might have an overwhelmed child. So always look at the middle to upper age range for your children, unless of course you are grouping, like Jana was talking about, combining your kids. Then you're going to have some at the lower end that are more listeners than learners. So they will follow along and listen. So awesome. Thank you. Is the curriculum adaptable for individual student needs?
Absolutely. And what this can look like is if your student is a struggling reader, there are ways to adapt either the amount of reading that is, we say, required each day. Because our program is for 36 weeks, 4 days a week, you are able to use that schedule any way that works for you. So I know that within my household of my 3 girls, I've had 2 out of the 3 that were struggling readers. So instead of reading the 4 days of independent reading, or even honestly the read alouds, because I'm a busy mom and I get behind almost every week, we actually can take 5 to 6 to 7 days to get those done. I mean, really, you can take as long as you need. If your child is struggling with a research paper, there is no place in our guide that says it must be done by this time. If you need, your child needs a week or 2, if you need to stop in math and go, wow, we are just not enjoying this. There's too many tears. Let's back it down. And you only do a problem or 2 a day and then go on with the rest of your curriculum. There's so many ways that you can use our program to be individual for your child. It does not have to be black and white. And that's something that as parents come into homeschool, it's very hard to comprehend, because we are so used to public education saying, this is what needs to be done, this is when it needs to be done. But you have complete autonomy with our program once you purchase it from us.
Very good. And it is very flexible for that. And we are a very robust program. So they will get a very full education, and far more than any other public school, because they just can't teach the volume that we teach because of the big classroom. So awesome. So if I have questions about the curriculum, can I speak with somebody who has used the program? I think we've answered that, but you talk about that now.
I think so. One of the reasons that I came on board, not only as a convention rep and then as an advisor, but then in the capacity of community manager, is because I love this program so much. I started off using it with my children. I myself was homeschooled 8th through 12th grade, and I tell anybody that I can, I wish I had had BookShark when I was a child. Although homeschool worked for me, and I did go on to college and have a master's degree, and I am gainfully employed. The BookShark's depth and understanding of world cultures and history, and Lynn talked about creating empathy. And the key point, I think, to BookShark personally for me is the critical thinking. I don't ever want my kids to parrot back to me something that they think they have learned. I want them to process it and then come up with their own conclusion, even when it doesn't match mine. And let me tell you, with 3 girls, I have met my match. But having used the program, loving it so much, I couldn't say enough good things about it, that BookShark was so excited to have me come aboard.
And we're glad you're here as well. So, all right. Those are the questions I have for you, Jana. I'm going to take my hat off as the interviewee, and you can have back the floor.
All right. Well, Maddie, I want to thank you so much for what you do for our customers in your department as customer service lead. Vern, you are a special man to be able to deal with technology in a way that I could and probably won't ever understand. So thank you for all of your help and support to the customers. And Lynn, thank you so much for being here and explaining just the philosophy behind BookShark. I want to tell our viewers that we are available to not only our customers, but people who just want to know more about BookShark. So we have a couple ways that you can reach out to us. We have Main, MAIN at bookshark.com. We do have a Facebook page. Our website is bookshark.com. And then we do have our phone number, which is
303-797-2954.
There you go. That's our local number here. I'm putting all this information in this webinar's description so that you guys can have it handy for later. But we just want to thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening. And if you have more questions, we are here to help. So goodbye for now.